This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerate it. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Had the best words. God bless the United States.
Around the nation, TYD Nation, Jeff Waldorf here with you. It's Monday, and boy, am I in a mood. I don't know what it is, man, but you could say the mood is fairly disastrous, maybe a little salty. So we'll see what happens. But man, fair warning, not going to be good. All right. Anyway, so yes, we are 1 day away from the Michigan primary. And already I'm not in a good mood. As I said before, I'm feeling a little less than hopeful. Let's just say that. Nonetheless, I plan on getting out and voting. Interesting story today. There's it's not really a story. An interesting thing that I found out today. I went to go find my polling place. So I moved, right? And so my polling place this year is not the same as last year. And I noticed on the website, for the official state website, to find out, where your polling place is, and if you're registered, and the map points to somewhere that is not actually a place. Like, oh, here's your polling place. Except that when you look on the map, when you look on the overhead satellite view, it's literally just an intersection. Nothing there. I'm like, huh. Well, that's weird. That's on the official government of the state government website for the Secretary of State. I'm like, well, God, I'm glad no one can get confused by that. If they decide to look it up in their phone, which, by the way, does take it to the right place, but or what I assume to be the right place. I really hope it is. Oh man, I don't know. I guess I'll find out tomorrow when I go to cast my vote for Bernie Sanders. So that's going to be interesting. And so I call up the polling place and I'm like, hey, there seems to be an issue here with where people are being directed to. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, yeah, we'll let the election officials know what happened. Okay. Well, look, I hope that this doesn't seem to be a problem. Again, if you look up the actual address, it does take you to the right place. If you're using your maps and stuff like that. So I just hope that nobody else seems to be getting confused. And look, I don't know if it's intentional. I don't necessarily believe that it is, but you never know what happens. It's just, yeah, you never know what's happening. So, but anyway, that's just my personal anecdote of me trying to get ready for tomorrow, for the voting to happen. Look, in Michigan, polls show Joe Biden vastly ahead of Bernie Sanders. 15 points in some polls, 41 in others. And so, look, Michigan, I mean, we need Michigan. There's a lot of delegates at stake. Bernie Sanders needs Michigan, I should say. And I don't know. Like last time, it barely went to Hillary Clinton, or I'm sorry, it barely went to Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton, even though she had the advantage in the polling, right? I don't know if that's going to happen today or tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know. So, I mean, I'm all sorts of in a bad mood, and also nervous of what's going to happen. And so, oh boy, yeah. Zach, you know what? I am just as pessimistic as you are right now. Let me tell you. He says, yeah, no progressive policy in the future. No, maybe. But maybe not now. Not for a while yet. Look, we'll see what happens. Yeah, Ty, I know that. I'm just answering some audience questions here in the YouTube chat. They said the same thing last time. They did have Hillary Clinton up, and yeah, again, Michigan was a surprise for Bernie Sanders pulling out a 2-point victory, and so I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what's going to happen. But anybody who's in Michigan or any of the states that are having a primary tomorrow, get out there, vote, because just like in 2016, it can mean the difference between, what the polling indicates and what actually happens. So don't get discouraged. I mean, I'm discouraged AF right now, but I'm still going out there to vote. And whether it's a stick my finger in your eye vote, which is perfectly valid, or I think we're going to win this vote, it doesn't really matter as long as you get out there and do it. So that's what I'm going to do, because I said if the progressive movement is going to go down, and we're going to have Joe Biden as a nominee, well, I'm still going to go down with middle fingers flying. So that's my mantra, and that's what's going to happen. All right. Anyway, so now before I get into the stories here, I do want to address what's currently in the news. What we have right now is a bunch of endorsements. So Joe Biden is continuing to get a lot of endorsements from establishment Democrats. In fact, on Sunday, Kamala Harris, former presidential campaign, who dropped out of the presidential campaign. She was a former candidate. She endorsed Joe Biden. Now, I want to give you her statement here. She says, when I started my run for president, I said America needs a president who reflects the decency and dignity of the American people. A president who speaks the truth, and a president who fights for those whose voices are too often overlooked and ignored. I still believe to this day. That is why I am proud to announce that I am endorsing my friend, Vice President Joe Biden, for President of the United States. Of course, Biden responded to that on Twitter, said, Kamala, you spent your whole career fighting for folks who have been written off and left behind. And no small part of that alongside Beau Biden. From our family, thank you. And that's basically what he said in a retweet. Okay. So now that also brings me to today. So now we have another endorsement for Joe Biden. And that's former candidate Cory Booker. Now, Booker, for his part, and he came out and he just did an endorsement earlier today, said, while I'm no longer running for president, I still know that to win, Democrats need a nominee who understands that the way to beat Donald Trump is to bring people together. In this moral moment, our country needs a president who recognizes that the lines that divide us are nowhere near as strong as the ties that bind us. Joe is building the kind of campaign we need to win, a campaign based on shared values, built by the kinds of multiracial, multi-ethnic coalitions that have always been at the backbone of every movement for progress in our history. So that's Cory Booker. And this again follows after Super Tuesday, before Super Tuesday, Senator Amy Klobuchar, former South Bend Mayor, Indiana, or former South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Michael Bloomberg. And so now, look, he's got all these endorsements now, right? I don't think any of you should be surprised by these endorsements. Again, Cory Booker, establishment pro banker to the core. I even like Cory Booker as a human being, as a person. I think he's generally seems like a really nice guy, somebody you'd like you can have a conversation with, and who generally seems to care about people. But he's also Wall Street to the core, right? He was a guy that came out and defended Bain Capital, so understand that, right? So there's the other side of Cory Booker. And Kamala Harris, again, not a surprise. But you might say, now wait a minute though. But she called out Joe Biden on segregationists. She was that little girl. Well, remember that whole thing. That was one reason she surged in these early debates, right? When she calls out Joe Biden. But remember, that was a marketing technique. It was a gimmick. She had T-shirts and everything ready for it. So come on. Again, this is somebody who is part of the establishment, who is part of the, or trying to be part of the good old Boys and Girls Club. Not a shock, not a surprise at all. Again, with the Klobuchar, not a surprise. Although she was probably really thrilled to have dropped out of the race after Pete Buttigieg, because I don't think they liked each other very much. But they all have one goal. And what all of these people have in common is one goal. Well, actually, two goals. And number one is stop Bernie Sanders, which of course feeds into the next goal, to get a position in a Joe Biden cabinet, whether it be Kamala Harris for VP. It's a lot of people's first pick in the establishment. Oh, Kamala Harris. Oh, yeah. Joe Biden VP. Ooh, yeah, it should be great. And that would set her up for a 2028 run or whatever, right? Or next presidential run. Ooh, yeah, Kamala Harris. Not only is she Obama-esque, right? She's an African-American woman. And, oh, man, she'd just be great for checking off some of those boxes, right? It would kind of be the opposite of the Obama-Biden. Because remember, Obama didn't need to make inroads with African Americans, right? Obama chose Biden to make inroads with scared white people, right? So now Biden-Harris will be the opposite of that. Even though Biden does not need to actually make inroads with African Americans, Jim Clyburn basically made that endorsement and kind of, sealed the fate for Bernie Sanders, at least in South Carolina. And then drove the narrative going forward that, the Black community has lined up behind Joe Biden, which, again, it's stupid because you're treating the African-American community as a monolith. Whereas, look, Black South Carolina voters are generally more conservative and tend to trend older. And so they're older, they're more conservative. Younger African-Americans tend to vote more progressive, be more progressive, right? And so again, you can't put everybody in a box, and you do a real disservice to the African American community by painting them all as this one giant block. So, but yeah, look, that's what mainstream media is doing, and so here in the show we try to do a little bit more nuance. But again, that's what the media narrative is going forward. The Black community is right up behind Joe Biden. But here's the thing. Kamala Harris would actually be somebody that and again, this is establishment think, well, she's Black. She's part of the African-American community. So it's kind of the opposite, right? It's to make the African-American community a little bit more comfortable. And you've got a woman and it checks off all the boxes and she's establishment friendly and she's, really not going to rock the boat at all because she went back on Medicare for all. And so, great pick. Oh, wonderful. It's going to make a lot of people very, very enthusiastic to vote for Kamala Harris or to vote for a Biden-Harris ticket. Now, look, when you look into, of course, Kamala Harris's record as AG in California, not so good. But again, you actually have to look at the record. You actually have to pay attention to it. And let's be honest, mainstream media is not at all interested in looking at the records. They're not interested in looking at Joe Biden's record. In fact, they want to hide this record from scrutiny. You want to talk about not vetted, right? And here's the issue about Joe Biden that's one of the most irritating issues, right? Is that every time Joe Biden has tried to run for office, his paths comes out, right? It's not just his gaffes, right? It's his terrible votes. And every time it comes out, people are like, "Ooh, no, oh God." Turns out Joe Biden is not good at all. And he really got that gigantic boost from being Obama's VP. And that's why people, I think, are more willing to forgive that terrible past. That or just not knowing about it, not being reminded that, oh, yeah, it looks like Biden's had some pretty terrible votes. And the thing that's frustrating about this, the most frustrating, is that the media is basically covering for him. They're hiding him. They're ignoring these things. And so you've got the media playing defense, not to mention you've got some cognitive decline going on, right? Where it's more than gaffes now. Because again, Joe Biden would always gaffe, just say stupid things. Now he can't remember what state he's in. And so what? They want to limit debate time now between he and Bernie Sanders. Now that there's a 2-person race to try to hide that. No, he's being covered by the media, right? They're running interference for him. And that is totally unacceptable. No, you need to vet him. You need to talk about some of these terrible votes, right? And then you need to make and let the voters decide. And if the voters decide that, no, we're still going to go with Joe Biden, well, then it is what it is. But you can't hide the truth from people. And that's what, again, it's the media sucks in this country. It absolutely sucks. It is total garbage. And I hate to say it because I actually think that there are some media outlets that actually do excellent journalism, even mainstream media outlets that do excellent stories. But when it comes to progressives, they treat them worse than they do MAGA people. They really do. They treat them far worse. And so here we are in a situation where everybody hates progressives. Everybody. And it's not, I mean, it's not hyperbole to point out that it really is progressives versus everyone. And I know there's this, oh, come on. No, you always got to point out it's us versus them because literally it is. Literally it is. I mean, here you had the entire centrist field coalesce around Joe Biden. What do we have for progressives? What do we have? We certainly do not have Elizabeth Warren, who claims that she's progressive. No, she's missing in action, right? Oh, not even going to endorse. I wouldn't even count on it at this point. Never going to do the right thing. Not interested whatsoever at all. She doesn't care. So it really is progressives on our own against everybody else. And that's the situation that we are currently finding ourselves in, where we are alone in the wilderness once again. We have no allies. We have no backup. Mainstream media is controlling the narrative once again. And progressive independent media is being summarily crushed. I've told you before about all the difficulties facing our channel, right? And it's not just us, it's all others, right? It's Humanist Report. You know, it's TYT. It's David Dole, you know, the Rational Net. It's everybody who's an independent media. We are being absolutely crushed because we are alone and we do not have any sort of support, except from the few that are in the audience. And YouTube has gone out of its way to make sure that as few people as possible see the message. We are alone. Progressive independent media is alone. Bernie Sanders is alone. Other than, you know, some of the great endorsements that he's gotten, but nobody in Congress. I mean, the Working Families Party just endorsed Bernie Sanders, right? And that's fantastic. because they had backed Elizabeth Warren. Now that Warren's out of the race, now they go and say, oh yeah, it turns out we do agree with Bernie Sanders. We're going to endorse him. Right? Okay, maybe too little, too late. Jesse Jackson is another one. It's another excellent person. But again, as far as progressives, we are essentially alone. And so I don't know what to do about that. It is with great frustration that I talk about this. And it's systematic of where we are as a country, where everybody is against us because you know what? You know why? Because we want actual change. We want actual change, and we actually want to fight for people, regular people. And so, I mean, that is, again, the supreme frustration. And we just have to keep, I mean, we don't have a choice. If we want these things, we have to continue fighting against basically everyone and everything that is in our way. And look, that's what I'm going to keep doing on the show, even though sometimes like today, I am, it's one of those things where it's like, does it even matter what we do here? I mean, does it? Like, who hears the message? I know a lot of you do, but you already agree with the message. If we can't get out to new people and sway them and swing new people, what are we doing here? And that's the other problem, And so sometimes I get absolutely discouraged. And today is one of those times. And so I'm going to keep it straight with you guys. With everything that we are going up against right now, it is so easy to get discouraged. It is so easy to fall apart and to fray. And that's what I'm afraid we're seeing in the progressive movement. I am feeling that right now. And this is a time where we have to have each other's back. And, that's literally our only hope is to support each other. All right. I'm sorry. It's a 20-minute rant. All right. So look, let's go forward. Let's make fun of Donald Trump before I just completely melt on air. All right. President Donald Trump is in a rage following a massive plunge in the stock market on Sunday and then again on Monday. Now, on Sunday, the market tanked over coronavirus fears. And on Monday, the Dow Jones plunged 1,800 points within the first about 5 minutes of the opening bell after OPEC was unable to reach an agreement with Russia and other allies, leading Saudi Arabia to cut prices and ramp up production, which, of course, again, a decline in oil prices, right? So, look, let me just say this, right? What are we doing on fossil fuels? Why? Does anybody else think it's completely ridiculous that literally one country can destroy our economy over oil? Possibly launch us into a recession because they decide, no, I'm not going to agree to that. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Okay? Get off fossil fuels already. Get off fossil fuels. All right, anyway. Now, following Sunday's fall, the president took shots at Chuck Schumer, called him crying Chuck Schumer, the media, and the Democrats. Shocker, right? Now, let me read you a couple of these tweets here. The fake news media and their partner, the Democrat Party, is doing everything within its semi-considerable power, it used to be greater, to inflame the coronavirus situation far beyond what the facts would warrant. And he quotes his own Surgeon General, the risk is low to the average American. Actually, let's be honest, the risk here is actually greater. Why? Because we don't have socialized medicine. We don't have a universal healthcare system. We also don't have paid leave, sick leave for anybody, right? Now I'm seeing on social media, and it's actually not a bad idea. UBI coming back up, right? For people who have to self-quarantine, right? Hey, not a bad idea. Donald Trump could actually do something positive and go, you know what we're going to do for everybody dealing with coronavirus? Guess what? We're just going to give you $1,000 a month until this whole thing is, fixed, right? Until everything is back to normal, right? At least that would be something. Instead, Donald Trump, what? He gives tax cuts to airlines and other transportation. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Okay, so, but anyway, look, people, and the reason that socialized medicine would help is because people could actually go to a doctor. Right now, people can't afford to go to a doctor. People can't afford the $3,000 coronavirus testing kits at the hospital. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's stupid. All right, more. He's going to talk now about Obama and Biden. I know. Bringing it up again. Says the Obama-Biden administration is the most corrupt administration in the history of our country. No. That would be yours. The Obama-Biden administration is about as corrupt as all the others that preceded it. Mildly corrupt. Bankers in the administration, rich people, policy. That's normal. That's par for the course, right? We know that already. It is a systemic corruption that Trump has not only failed to do anything about, with the whole drain the swamp thing, but he's actually added to the swamp. More. He's quoting somebody from MSNBC saying Trump has outmastered the deep state. He's light years ahead of us. And he says, MSDNC, I disagree. We have a long way to go. There are still some very bad, sick people in our government. People who do not love our country. In fact, they hate our country. Hate it. Oh, you know what? He is actually right. There are some very bad, very sick people in our government that are, look, you know what? I'm just going to leave it up to you to figure out who that one is. He then went after, and this is the most galling part. He now went after the Democrats over Bernie Sanders. He said, now the Democrats are trying to smear Bernie with Russia. They're driving him crazy. Okay. You want to talk about broken clocks, right? Fair enough. Of course. Yes, the Democratic Party has been going after Bernie Sanders with Russia, right? That's absolutely true. But like anything, he does not care about Bernie Sanders or Bernie voters. No. He's trying to use this as his advantage. He's trying to get Bernie Sanders voters to stay home, right? Or vote for him. Newsflash, that ain't happening. And also to get centrists more against Bernie by saying, oh, look at that. Donald Trump is defending Bernie Sanders. They must be the same thing. No, that is equally as brainwormy as, not as like staying home or voting for Donald Trump. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Look, Trump, again, doesn't care at all about Bernie Sanders. No, he's scared of Bernie Sanders. He knows that he would lose. He knows he'd lose if Bernie became the nominee. It is apparent. But one thing, again, Donald Trump is very good at is he can play the media. The media hates Bernie Sanders. The establishment hates Bernie Sanders and will report this as, oh, look, they're both the same. Bernie Sanders, same as Donald Trump. Look, they're even defending each other. Look at that. Bernie bad, Trump bad, the same. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely asinine. All right. Now, what's funny is that one of the responses to it was from Tommy Kombachar, who said, quote, you should stop the concern trolling, which is what this is. You will be defeated soundly on November 3rd if Bernie is the nominee. And of course, look, polls back that up. They show Bernie Sanders beating Trump by the widest margin. In fact, look, this is not a presidential primary poll. This is a hypothetical general election matchup here in Michigan, right? Bernie Sanders beats Trump 46-43. Biden ties 43-43. But you know what? In the primary, you know who's winning, leading in the Michigan primary? Biden by nearly 15 points. The guy who ties with Donald Trump in national polling. You've got that guy that is leading in these primary states. I mean, it's almost as if we just want to lose. It's almost the Democrats want to lose. I mean, that's all they're good at doing. Losing to Republicans, even the most monstrous ones. We got the Democrats that are like, oh, hey, are we going to win an election? Oh no, we'd rather lose this election than actually get a progressive. So let's just throw this damn thing away and go for another one, another 4 years of Trump. I mean, our wallets are pretty stable, right? It's pretty good. I mean, sucks if you have a 401k in the stock market right now, but whatever. Trump also had one more tweet after this massive sell-off. He said, good for consumer. Gasoline prices going down. Jeez. So what, you're just going to ignore that massive slide? Then I thought that was the linchpin of your economy, is bragging about the stock market. Well, he's not done yet. He instead uses this to blame the media. He says Saudi Arabia and Russia are arguing over the price and flow of oil. That and the fake news is the reason for the market drop. Jesus Christ. You know what's funny, though? If we had 100% renewable energy, we wouldn't have to worry about this at all. There wouldn't even be a market drop. Nothing that Saudi Arabia could do would affect the stock market whatsoever. But no, we have to be on fossil fuels. We got to double down on oil and gas. Even our Democrats, with the exception of Bernie Sanders and maybe Tom Steyer, we're all about, oh no, let's get off fossil fuels as soon as possible. Joe Biden doesn't get off fossil fuels until 2050. I mean, ridiculous. And so not only that, but he's also cut investment into things like solar and wind. And now it comes to bite him in the ass, along with the administration's really, really poor reaction to the COVID-19 coronavirus. All of this shows that Donald Trump is not a leader. He would rather blame other people, mainly his political enemies, of course, for his own problems, and exploit the very real fight between the establishment and progressives for his own political gain, instead of doing what he's supposed to do, is lead on these issues. So, look, it's because he doesn't care about leading. He just wants to have his ego stroked. And as you've seen throughout the years, when he doesn't get it, he lashes out like a baby. All right, moving on here. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy just tried going after Vice President Joe Biden, but in doing so, also accidentally went after Donald Trump. Take a look.
Any elected official that uses their office or has their children who uses their office to get economic gain, where you're getting $50,000 a month, how many Americans don't make that in a year? And you have no experience whatsoever. And the only reason you have that job is because of your father.
Oh, geez. All right. For one, get off it, Kevin. You don't care about anybody making $50,000 a year. In fact, the median wage, not $50,000 a year, it's somewhere around 30. So get off it, Kevin McCarthy. You idiot. You douchebag. All right. With that, you can tell I'm in a great mood right now. So McCarthy, look, this is butter emails again. All right. That's what this entire thing is. What Hunter Biden did was stupid. It's legal, but stupid. And of course, as you can see, Republicans who have no shame were going to use this against him anyway. In fact, I had already gone over that plan. And this is the beginning of it, right? Because of course they would. The investigations have already begun. And this is while Joe Biden isn't even the nominee. But okay, you want to play this disingenuous game of Kevin McCarthy? Then you want to do this? All right. Well, what about Ivanka and Jared? How about them? Right? I mean, look, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, they currently serve as White House advisors to the president. What are they advising the president on? What could they possibly know? What do they even bring to the table? The answer is a big fat nothing. But nonetheless, right? They're going to ignore that. I mean, they know absolutely nothing about governing, about government, about anything other than, of course, filling their own pockets, right? This is about the corruption. And by the way, he said, well, Hunter Biden doesn't know anything about gas companies. No, that's true, right? Jared and Ivanka literally know nothing about anything. I mean, Jared Kushner, this is somebody who even Trump says is a dumb person. I mean, come on, dude. Really? All right, but again, it's not about intelligence. It's about corruption. And with the Trump administration, we have massive rampant corruption, and they are swimming in it. In fact, during her time serving her father, which, look, you know what? No, I'm not even going to go there, right? Trump would like to date his own daughter. Okay, anyway, no. During the time serving her father in the administration, in the father's administration, Ivanka Trump has been granted multiple trademarks by the government of China. She sat in on those meetings with the Chinese president so that she could get deals for her own business. And that's what that is. And there's more. What about Jared Kushner? According to a report from the New York Times, Kushner recently sold a stake in a real estate firm that sought to profit from a tax break pushed by Trump in the White House. Really? Benefiting, benefiting off her parents in political office. I mean, that's a terrible thing if you ask Kevin McCarthy. Now, he ended up selling that stake for between $25 to $50 million. But Hunter Biden gets $50,000 a month. F off. And look, I don't even think that he should have done that. Again, I'm on the record of saying that was a terrible idea. He knows nothing about gas, and it is institutional corruption. But Jesus Christ, dude, are you kidding me? The hypocrisy is off the scale. Oh, but no. What are you talking about? Jared and Ivanka don't benefit at all from their position in the White House. No, of course not. Drain the swamp. Yeah, they drain the swamp right into their freaking pockets. Just like Don Jr. and Erik Trump. In fact, the Trump organization, since he became president, has taken in at least $20 million from political activity, as well as money from foreign governments, hoping to curry favor with the president. What about that foreign influence there, Donald Trump? What about that? Right, yeah. It has also benefited financially from taxpayer-funded trips made by Trump. The corruption is so damn obvious. It is in your face. And for God's sakes, we need somebody in office who's going to call it out. And more than that, not partake in that corruption. And see, this is the problem. This is the talking point that Trump couldn't wait to use. Oh, look at the corruption. Corruption. Look at Ukraine. Look at the Bidens. And see, here's the thing. It worked last time with Hillary Clinton. It doesn't matter how corrupt Donald Trump is because his base literally doesn't care about it. But when it comes to Democrats, of course, it's going to be incredibly effective. And we are literally handing Donald Trump, Democrats, I mean, not us, progressives, but Democrats are handing this election on a silver platter to Donald Trump, and nobody except for independent media, us, out in the wilderness, are actually pointing that out, are talking about this. This is the very same playbook that Donald Trump used to beat Hillary Clinton back in 2016. And it's nothing that Biden can effectively fight back on. Not only that, but Biden is in obvious mental cognitive decline. So he's not even going to be able to fight back effectively. So the media is hiding him. I mean, it's ridiculous. And again, Trump voters don't care about Donald Trump's corruption. They do not care, but they do care about Biden's. And that's why we're going to hear nothing other than Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. Independent voters, by the way, they're not going to be swayed as well by more orange man bad. We know he's bad. We know he's corrupt. How is Joe Biden going to fix any of that? Oh, right. He's not. He's not going to change a goddamn thing. We're telling you. We're telling you. Joe Biden told his own donors, don't worry under me. Nothing's going to fundamentally change. So go out and vote for me on Super Thursday. No, I'm kidding about the last part, but Jesus Christ, dude. Are you serious? That's what he told his donors. Nothing's going to fundamentally change. The same kind of corruption, only a different party. That's what you guys want. Look, if you are already sick of Ukraine, and I am sick of Ukraine. I am sick of talking about Hunter Biden. Already, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Well, you know what? It sucks for us because if Bernie Sanders has not been big in the next couple of days, then we are going to be hearing about Ukraine and Hunter Biden all the way till freaking November and then beyond. I told you I'm in a mood. I told you. All right, moving on. All right. A private security contractor with ties to the Trump administration has just been revealed to have spied on liberal groups. Now, the New York Times is reporting that Erik Prince, if you remember him, a private security contractor and brother to Betsy DeVos, who is the current Secretary of Education, has recruited spies, literal ex-spies, to go and infiltrate various liberal groups on behalf of Project Veritas. This is super, super disturbing. And by the way, Project Veritas, is led by right-wing troll James O'Keefe. Okay. And so that's the group that goes around. They get into these groups. They record a bunch of private conversations. And then from that video, they go and they deceptively edit everything together in order to, of course, provide a right-wing narrative, or to produce or manufacture a right-wing narrative in order to get groups like Acorn to be stripped of their funding. Acorn, by the way, was targeted and destroyed by James O'Keefe and Project Veritas for doing nothing, for the crime of getting people to vote. And President Obama, even though they found that Acorn did nothing legally shady or wrong, still, Congress decided during the Obama administration to pull the funding. That's what James O'Keefe does. He is a hatchet man for the right wing. And now you've got Erik Prince, a very influential person in the Trump administration, working together with him to get literal spooks. I don't know if they're ex-CIA. I don't know. But I know that there was one ex-MI6 agent involved. So let me give you the details on him. Now, one of the operatives recruited by Prince is a former MI6 agent who ran an office, 2017 sting in which he copied files and recorded conversations from a Michigan office of the American Federation of Teachers, one of the largest teachers unions. So that's what he did. Okay. That same operative also went undercover in a congressional campaign for Abigail Spanberger. When the campaign discovered this, that agent was fired. So that's an example of the kind of people that Erik Prince is hiring for these operations, right? Literally having them work with Project Veritas to target and attack left-wing groups and campaigns to spy on fellow Americans, which, by the way, what Erik Prince used to do, I don't know if you're familiar with this. You might be, you might not be. He was the head of Blackwater. Blackwater was infamous during the Iraq War for killing Iraqi civilians. It's a private security firm, right? They were so infamous that they ended up having to change their name from Blackwater to Z or whatever. I mean, and several actually had to change their name several times. I mean, this is ridiculous, man. So look, this is the same group that's now working with James O'Keefe to help people get fired, by the way. And that is scary. You want to talk about fascism, right? This is it. They're literally editing private conversations deceptively in order to get Democrats and progressives fired from their positions. I mean, look at what happened with David Wright. Now, David Wright was an ABC News anchor, right? Worked for ABC News. He was also more progressive than we thought. And he had some criticism, right, that Project Veritas had caught in a private conversation. He said, quote, quite correctly, commercial imperative is incompatible with news. Now, right there, criticizing corporate news, corporate media, while working in corporate media. And so, well, I mean, if that wasn't enough, he also had the gall to criticize Disney. And so, you can't have that. Can't have that. Even if it's in your off time, can't do it. You're going to get the ban hammer. You're going to get in major trouble. And so look at that. Wright gets suspended from his job just for having his own opinion on his own off time. It is ridiculous. Look, here's the thing, right? It is really scary knowing that your private words, not stuff that you said publicly, right, which can get you in trouble, but private words could now, if you're a progressive or if you're a liberal or any of these groups like Planned Parenthood or anybody pushing for any sort of social good or change, you're going to get targeted by these right-wing hatchet men. We're going to take your own words and they're going to use them against you. I mean, it definitely makes people not trust each other and especially not want to speak out. And in that kind of environment, that is exactly where fascism thrives. All right. Moving on, let's go to Jim Jordan. Yeah, Sarge Tech makes a good point. In 2010, Shirley Sherrod was fired from her appointed position as Georgia State Director, Project Veritas. They have done a lot of ridiculous stings or supposed sting operations that have gotten people in a lot of trouble. All right. Anyway. Even more former college wrestlers have come out to accuse Representative Jim Jordan of hiding sexual abuse while he was a coach at Ohio State. Now, according to statements made to CNN, 6 former college wrestlers from Ohio State were present when Jordan either heard or responded to sexual misconduct complaints about University doctor Richard Strauss. Now, Richard Strauss, of course, never got arrested, never went to jail, committed suicide in 2005. Now, during the time that Jordan was a coach at Ohio or at OSU, this had been an open secret. Everybody knew what was going on, and yet Jim Jordan says, "Oh, I never knew. I never knew. I never knew. I knew nothing. I knew nothing." Really? Well, again, more wrestlers have come out to say, actually, that's bullshit. 100%. Now, 8 others told the network that the physician's conduct was an open secret in the university's athletic department and that there's no possibility that Jim Jordan couldn't have known about it. During that time, Strauss committed at least 1,429 sexual assaults and 47 rapes during his 20-year tenure. 1,400 assaults. Jesus. How do you not know this is going on? How do you not? It's because, well, I mean, it's impossible to not know what this is going on. Even if you put your fingers in your ears and hum real loud, you can't do that during the length of time that Jim Jordan was at OSU. You can't do it. You can't do it. It's literally impossible. In fact, one former OSU wrestler, Tito Vasquez, now a public school teacher, told CNN, quote, "When these complaints come and Jordan pretends that now that he had no knowledge of it, that's betrayal at the highest level." He said that he himself had complained to Jordan after being victimized and said, and was reportedly told, quote, "I have nothing to do with this." Oh, you have nothing to do with this. Wait a minute, you're a coach. You're an adult who was sworn to protect your students. These men trusted you with something that is deeply personal and painful. And you failed them. You 100% failed them. You failed the people that you were supposed to protect. Why? Because Jim Jordan, all he cares about is protecting his job, protecting his money. What a scumbag. Absolute scumbag. I mean, knowing that this is happening and not lifting a goddamn finger to do anything while people are literally begging you to do something is what? It's basically the same as victimizing them a second time. That's what you were doing. That's what Jim Jordan was doing. And he didn't care. He doesn't care at all. In fact, you know who was doing the begging? Jim Jordan. Begging people to not say anything. In fact, here's wrestling captain Adam DeSabato, right? Who had told the court last month that Jordan had called him, quote, crying, begging, pleading to get him to go against his own brother. I mean, because DeSabato's brother had testified. And so, I mean, what a sick individual, dude. That's who Jim Jordan is. He's a cowardly scumbag who let young men get victimized in some of the worst ways possible. Also, he could keep his position and his job. He's a terrible, gross, disgusting human being. All right. Before I go on to the next segment here and wrap up the show, I do want to read a couple of super chats here. Super chats are one way you can help the show, especially in this time, because I kid you not, we really need you guys. Really. Like, if you're on the cusp of saying, maybe I should support an independent progressive media, maybe not, now is the time. Now's the time. Patreon, channel memberships. I cannot stress how devastated we are because, again, we are in the wilderness. We do not get backing. In fact, there are forces that are arrayed against us, both mainstream media and big corporations. YouTube, no exception. They have altered the algorithms to make sure that people like me are shut out. They want to slowly starve our channels and make sure that our message cannot get out. And the only way that we can fight against that is if we have the resources from somewhere else, and that's our viewers. That's our viewership. We need you guys. So if now is any time for you to sign up and support us on Patreon or on channel memberships, now is the time because we need you. All right. That said, let's go to our final story here. Oh, I'm sorry. One more here. A super chat from Torn Tokoroa, sorry. That says, just got home from an eye doctor, $50 copay. That was almost all the cash in my wallet. I'm in a mood now too. We've got to fight hard and without mercy. No, absolutely. You are 100% right. This is the injustice that is our healthcare system. Why do we not have insurance that covers eye doctor visits? Why do we not have insurance that covers dental? Why do we not have insurance that, I don't know, covers normal medical procedures? It's all about the money. It's about the corruption. It is corrupt. We live in a corrupt system, and it serves the interests of the powerful by crushing the powerless. And so we are alone in that fight against. Look, it's David and Goliath. That's what this is. It's freaking David and Goliath. And we need you guys. We need people power, because we certainly have all the other powers arrayed against us. So, all right. Anyway. Speaking of powerful. Need a drink here. All right. It appears that the Biden campaign is already measuring the drapes right before the primary is even over. I guess they're so incredibly confident that they're going to win. Weird how that works. Now, according to Axios, Biden confidants have been privately discussing potential leaders and cabinet members for the Biden White House. So you're going to love this, right? Now, you're not going to be shocked that many of his picks are either from Wall Street or those who quickly bent the knee before Super Tuesday. Several high-profile possibilities were discussed, including John Kerry, Biden's surrogate, very establishment. Apparently, he would like to have a new cabinet position devoted to climate change, where he will probably promote very centrist milquetoast ideas that will get us to maybe carbon neutral, possibly towards 2045, 2050, right? Right. Bold progressives, right? Other high-profile possibilities, Suzanne Rice. That is Obama's former national security advisor, right? So that's the option for Secretary of State. You'll love this one. Mike Bloomberg. Yes, you remember Bloomberg, the oligarch, racist, stop and frisk, ring a bell, was only got into the election process in order, or I should say into the nomination, in order to stop Bernie Sanders. And so guess what? He dropped a whole money bomb and now is planning to drop more money bombs on behalf of Joe Biden. And guess what? He would be a top possibility, according to this, to head the World Bank, because that's exactly where you want an oligarch controlling the World Bank. More. Sally Yates. I personally don't have anything against Sally Yates, right? She stood up against Trump. He was fired. She was fired. Now they want her for Attorney General. Okay, look, I don't even actually have a problem with that pick. That's fine. Pete Buttigieg, after his swift endorsement of Biden, would maybe get a slot as ambassador to the UN or as U.S. trade representative. And not because of, maybe it helps because he knows he knows Norwegian, kind of. In reality, I think he just learned Norwegian to read a book. So, come on. But look, those aren't even the controversial picks, except for Mike Bloomberg, I guess. No. The ones that are getting the most attention are these. The Treasury Secretary. Now, there's a lot of different names up for Treasury Secretary. We're going to find they all have one thing in common. Bankers. The first pick, obviously, is Jamie Dimon. You know, Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan Chase hates Bernie Sanders. We know that. He's talked about it. Wants to make sure that he doesn't win. He'd be serving as Treasury Secretary. Great. Another pick, Anna Finucane, or Finucane. I'm not sure how to say her name. Now, she would be another Treasury pick. And she currently works at Bank of America. Another banker. Deval Patrick, being floated as a possible vice presidential pick, works at Bain Capital. And the Commerce Department will be Tom Nides, who works currently at Morgan Stanley. In the Biden administration, we know Wall Street would be very, very well represented. Because, of course, where's the working class? We're the union representatives, right? These seem to be all bankers and vulture capitalists. Now, there is one, of course, name that's also being floated, and that's Elizabeth Warren. I'll get to her later, right? But look, already, these people have already been, they've kissed a ring, right? Either that or they've had, very good times under the Obama and Biden administration, and they would love to be able to go back into it to create this, stability thing, right? Oh, let's bring it back to the politeness that we had under Obama Biden. And so, we can do all the stuff, screw over the American people as we used to, but without all the mean tweets. So at least it looks nice. Yeah. Jamie freaking Dimon. Need I remind you, Jamie Dimon was CEO of the bank that got a $460 billion bailout while Dimon was on the New York Fed. They got bailed out. Did you get bailed out? When your home went underwater? When you lost your savings in the financial crash of 2007, 2008? Did you get bailed out? No. I don't think we did either. Yeah. Morgan Stanley was also fined. I'm sorry, JP Morgan, not Morgan Stanley. JP Morgan Chase was fined $13 billion for mortgage fraud and had illegally foreclosed on military families. And they're looking at the guy who's running this bank, the Biden team is, and going, yes, oh, dream team for who? Hedge fund managers? Wall Street? Yeah. We need, and now they're like, we need more oligarchs. Bring us the one they call Michael Bloomberg. We shall make him part of the cabinet as well. The World Bank. Look, man, this is more of the stuff that created Trump. When I've realized that when Biden says, and Democrats, by the way, go back to normal, this is what he means. Returning back to normal is the blue Make America Great Again. It's Make America Normal Again. And that's what it is. That's what this means. That's what this means. And now in doing so, you are setting up a worse, more competent Trump to take the place later. Because returning to normal, it basically refers to a time that is this mythical time where everything was so much better because you didn't have a man that was an idiot running the office, right? Which we actually did under George W. Bush, but Donald Trump makes George W. Bush look smart. Even so, it's going back to the era of civility where everything was so much nicer because we didn't have an open racist that was running the government. Even though we still had over 40,000 Americans every year dying from lack of health care, health insurance, right? It was probably even worse before the ACA and its very, very modest reforms. Okay. And we still had the issues with stagnant wages, increased productivity, but again, problems with people being able to afford homes, student loan debt. We had all of these issues and a middle class and working class that continued to feel as if it was being left behind. These are things that Trump very successfully exploited in order to get into power. If you don't fix those central issues, Well, then, and all you do is, well, I mean, put in a person who's just a nicer face on all the crap that we've already been going through, then you're not actually really doing anything. And so, how do you not know this? How does anybody not know that they are the blue MAGA? Going back to this fictional time where everything was great under Obama. Again, I reported, the show was around during Obama, and you can go back and you can look at all the issues that we had under the Obama administration. You can't go back to that. We can't return to that because that didn't exist. Those good times. Just like you can't go back to the times where make America great again. When was America truly great? At least for everyone. The answer is it never has been. It never has been. It has been great for the banks. It has been great for the wealthy. It has been great for white people, generally, unless you're poor. And so, I mean, it's just going back to a system that is still so inherently broken that at the end of it, it still ends up spitting out someone like Donald Trump. That is not a normal and healthy system. Normal systems don't create Trumps. Broken systems do. And that's the issue. But of course, they know this, but they don't care because it's all about the money. It's all about the money. Now, I mentioned Elizabeth Warren because now they're putting her name out there as sort of a token prize for progressives. Great. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Right. She says, according to the article, some Biden advisors, they say, hope he could overcome hard feelings from the Obama years and pick Warren for VP to excite party progressives. You know how many progressives that would excite? None. None. At this point, Elizabeth Warren has been canceled by a lot of progressives. Look, I'm not saying cancel her. I'm not saying I canceled her. I'm just saying that a lot of progressives don't trust her at all. Not just, look, for twice, by the way, and the reasons. For twice not endorsing Bernie Sanders before Super Tuesday, right? And also even not endorsing him after dropping out this time. Spending a half hour with Rachel Maddow going off about mean Bernie bros online. I mean, come on, dude. Really? Really? Yeah, no, she's, if you haven't already, it's very likely you'll cancel her. Especially if she ends up getting a VP nod, which wouldn't make any sense. Again, Delaware, Massachusetts, they're fairly close. You wouldn't have any good luck with that kind of ticket. I mean, seriously. All right, but anyway. Also high on the list of potential Biden picks are African-Americans, Senator Kamala Harris, who endorsed him over the weekend, Senator Cory Booker, who endorsed early Monday morning, of course, right? So now we've got, Harris and Booker. Hey, look at me, pick me for VP. I'd be great. Not only that, you have Amy Klobuchar's name being floated. Klobuchar. I mean, sure, why not? Klomentum. To add to the Joe-mentum. I mean, ridiculous, right? But, no. Some people say the establishment did not get these people to drop out and endorse Joe Biden. You Bernie bros with your crazy conspiracies. That never happened. Oh, no, what happened is centrists did what they were supposed to do. They cleared the field for Joe Biden after North Carolina. I'm sorry, after South Carolina, right? In order to boost Joe going into Super Tuesday, and it was effective. And the reason I say that it was effective is because it was an obvious political play. Bernie Sanders benefited from a team, a side that was fractured. And so, yes, he was able to slide in and become the obvious pick. But then the centrists, the empire, they struck back, they coalesced, and now you still have a progressive field that is fractured, where you have Bernie Sanders basically by his lonesome, and you have Elizabeth Warren, who's out there doing I don't know what. I don't know what. Who knows? I don't even know if she knows what she's doing because she has terrible political instincts. And so here we go, right? And by the way, the establishment was looking for a way to blunt Sanders' momentum going into Super Tuesday, and it was effective. And a lot of that, by the way, is owed to Jim Clyburn of South Carolina. If Biden had not won South Carolina so decisively, then Joe Biden might still be floundering, and they still wouldn't have known. And that could have ended up having big wins for Bernie Sanders on Super Tuesday. And the map changed so fast after South Carolina and after all the people had dropped out before Super Tuesday. And so, look, I mean, speaking of Jim Clyburn, by the way, he's noted in this. One advisor had told Axios when they asked who the VP pick should be, he said, quote, whoever Jim Clyburn wants it to be. So in doing so, in helping Biden, Clyburn has just become a kingmaker. Somebody who's very, very important. So, and believe me when I say Clyburn is not going to pick someone progressive. Clyburn plays the political game. He is part of the establishment. He is deeply entrenched in the status quo. And despite what he did for civil rights, which was massively progressive, he is now one of the Washington power players. And this was a big, big way of not only ingratiating himself to a future Biden administration, but also exercising his power as a kingmaker. And look, got to be honest, right? Maybe that's a really good thing for African American rights to show that an African American in the Congress has such great powers of being able to pick the next president, but it's not good for progressive politics or policy. And so, again, deeply disappointing by action by Clyburn, but again, not unexpected. Axios now also points out how other likely picks are basically establishment loyalists, right? And so, look, these people are all insiders. They're all in Joe Biden's comfort zone, all against radical change. They are not in favor of radical change whatsoever. And so, of course, this just further buttresses the argument of status quo Joe, which unfortunately, in a time where I still think that there's an appetite for radical change. I mean, you look at exit polls, which show that policy is really important, and that progressive policies are overwhelmingly popular with the American people. Still, you have voters that are unfortunately choosing to go with the comfortable, and that's Joe Biden. And so, look, I don't know. I don't know how to fix that. But I do know that with his cabinet, Joe Biden is obviously showing everyone that I'm not even going to try to fix the system. I'm just going to return to a time when polite oligarchy reigns, and we're going to have polite and civil discourse while we let the big corporations and the banks continue to screw you over. That's about it. All right. That's it. That's all I got for you guys today. Been a bit of an angry show, but thanks for letting me get that out. You guys are the best. So let's just say that. We're a small group, but a good group. So thank you all. Thank you for watching. Please like and share. Please consider becoming a patron to continue this. Patreon.com/TYTNation or channel memberships. I want to thank Isabel Norwood for joining us as a channel member. Thank you so much. You continue to help independent progressive media. That's the only reason that we can survive is with you guys and with each other. All right. So that's it. Love you guys. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you guys tomorrow. big primary happening tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. All right. Take care.